Cathie Wood is coming up with a new ARK ETF. Today, I'll be briefing you guys on what this ETF's theme will be and how you guys can potentially make money off of it even before the ETF gets listed. Before we begin, please make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more quality content. Now, in this ETF, Cathie made sure that certain sectors wouldn't be included in it. These sectors are alcohol, banking, chemicals, confectionery, fossil fuel transportation, gambling, metals, minerals, natural gas, oil, and tobacco. What's funny is how the banking sector is included among other sectors like gambling, alcohol, and tobacco. Anyways, this new transparency ETF that ARK is coming up with is ARK's version of an ESG ETF. And for those of you who don't know what ESG is, it stands for environment, social, and governance. Now, ESG investing is basically taking into consideration non-financial factors in the analysis and investment process when managing and analyzing risk and growth factors. So you're not just investing, but you're investing in a socially conscious manner. And what's interesting about this ETF is that it's not an active ETF. So it doesn't have a manager that actively manages the stocks included in the basket. Rather, it's a passive ETF which just follows a set index. So for instance, QQQ is a passive ETF that follows the NASDAQ index. So passive ETFs have a characteristic of following a set index or rules that are set in stone. And in the case of ARK's new ETF, it is said that they'll be following the transparency index created by a company called Solactive. Now, I took a look at some other ESG funds and ETFs, and it got me thinking. So an ESG score is provided at a percentile rank, measuring the relative ESG score of a company compared to its counterparts. So it's about asking questions like, how are we going to score the company's governance system? How are we going to quantify the impacts a company has on the environment and compare that to that of its counterparts? So if we take a company like ExxonMobil, for instance, if they say that the entire company will go green in the next 5 years, how do we score the company's ESG score? Should it be based on how much they're polluting the environment right now? Or should we take into consideration the fact that they're shifting towards a green future? It's hard to be very objective with ESG scores, and there's certainly a gray area that experts need to work on. So just before we move on to see which companies are on Solactive's Transparency Index, let's rewind the clock and go back in time to when ARK's Space Exploration ETF came out. I made a video about this as well, so if you're interested, make sure to click on the top right corner to watch that video as well. So the first time we saw an article about ARKX was in January 13 of this year, which was around the time when ARK's ETFs were at an all-time high, and a lot of people were interested to see what Cathie's next move was. This article on Bloomberg mentioned companies like Virgin Galactic and Maxar Technologies, and they popped 8% in after-hours trading. Obviously, people thought, wait a minute. ARK is one of the hottest companies in finance right now, and they've been making mad bank with all the stocks they bought. So if I buy these stocks that could be included in ARKX in advance, maybe I'll make tons of money. Well, the result, as you can see, let's just say that it didn't go as expected. The news came out in January 13 and the stock's price almost doubled due to hype, but when the actual ETF was released in March, the stock's price only continued to correct. And what's even funnier is that ARK actually sold their holdings around May. And the same happened for Maxar Technologies as well. The stock's price has been forming higher lows and higher highs since the launch of the ETF. So what I want to tell you guys is to beware of this hype-driven pump. Once we get a clear list of the stocks that will be included in the ETF, they might pump in the short term, but whether you should buy the stock or not is something you should really take your time to consider. So going back to ARK's current upcoming ETF, I said that it will be benchmarking Solactive's Transparency Index. So I took a look at it and we can see that the ETF is pretty brand new. It's only been like 3 months since this ETF is launched. Now, looking at the list of companies that this index contains, we can see some familiar names. We have Salesforce on the top of the list. This is a company that offers a CRM platform. Atlassian is an Australian company that also offers corporate software. Datadog is a cloud scale monitoring company. So overall, on the top of the list, we have software companies that provide their services mainly to corporations. We have some other familiar names like Chipotle, Unity Software, the game company, Nike, Nvidia, and Snowflake. Now, Salesforce is a company with a pretty big market cap, so I'd say that the stock's price is less likely to move simply based on this ETF hype. But if you want to make early bets, it might be a good idea to scroll through the companies in this list and make some bets with companies with smaller market caps. So that is it for today, guys. As always, none of the content in this video is financial advice, but if you guys found this video to be helpful, please don't forget to drop a like, subscribe for more quality content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.